What's up? Welcome back. I'm John Starkback, TheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and I have seen the first 3 episodes of Going Dutch. It took me a while to review the show, um, I've seen every single episode without audio description because I haven't seen this show live on Fox, so I don't know if it airs with audio description, but it doesn't port to Hulu. So this is coming in with no audio description. This show reminds me a lot of how in the days of yore, we used to have like military comedies. The Phil Silvers Show stands out to me, and also Hogan's Heroes as being sort of like the two that really sort of anchored kind of what I'm talking about. But really, Phil Silvers is a great comparison here because you had somebody sort of like running a base and a group of misfit soldiers without without the added unintended consequence of them being uh, prisoners of war, which is what Hogan's Heroes was. So these people are free to do their own thing. Denis Leary is the anchor here, and it's nice to see him in the show. I know that they're trying to find a pairing for Animal Control as sort of, something else that goes along with it, because Animal Control, I guess, has been doing well for Fox. Fox is trying to cut costs. They're trying to produce cheaper shows. And you can see this because in their ratings, they keep canceling their higher rated shows because they cost too much to make. The ones that that have been running for a while. So there's like New Fox is coming out, right? And like pretty much everything that they have now, except for their animated shows, has been on only for a little while. But the thing about animated sitcoms is that they have, if you can package them together and then sell them, which is one of the reasons why you keep seeing new episodes of Family Guy, The Simpsons, and Bob's Burgers, is because it keeps increasing their value when they sell. So the rights of those shows. Plus, their ratings are fairly solid. I mean, people keep watching them, showing up. A show like The Great North keeps getting renewed so that it can keep a wealth of episodes that it will have. It's heading into its 5th season, despite being, I think, the lowest rated show on Fox. I like The Great North, but I'm not gonna lie, but a lot of their other dramas are they're just cheaply made with whoever feels like being in them right now. I was trying to explain to somebody the other day, they were like, "Oh, I saw Doc, thought it was pretty good." I was like, "Yeah, it feels very weird that like Molly Parker's anchoring a show now." Like usually the way things used to work is you would come off of a hot show into another show. You know what I'm saying? Like actors were hot of the moment. Um, you had cast contingent pilots that needed to put somebody in them. And I'm like, I don't think she's a big enough name to remove a cast contingency on a show. And I would argue that in 2024, neither is Scott Wolf. So when you look at the cast of Modern Family, for example, there were some people who were attached to that show, but it was Ed O'Neill was what they considered to be the weighty enough casting, even though most of the cast had already done TV before and had already been in other things, and were known on various levels for different. It was Ed O'Neill as a TV star coming in, much the same way Tim Allen would anchor Shifting Gears. Kat Dennings has done enough TV where you would think that she would also remove a cast contingency. But here it's obviously Denis Leary. Like, this is Denis Leary's show. So it's shaped around him. He's playing this gruff military guy who would much rather be out at war, but instead he's been sent off to this, basically to a base that does nothing. It sort of is like a day spa. Joe Morton appears, at least in the first 2 episodes. I don't know how much he's going to recur. And it ends up being a base that is currently being run by his daughter, but then he ends up taking over control and having to share back and forth, and they disagree on how to run things. Um, and so it becomes this father-daughter thing. And of course, he was an absentee father. Coming along for the ride is a sitcom staple and one of my favorites, Danny Pudi, who needs a place to land because I believe Mythic Quest is headed into its final season coming up here shortly on Apple. So he needs a place to go after that. So I'm sure he was happy to jump into Going Dutch in case it gets renewed for multiple seasons. My argument here is I wish it had audio description because I think this is the second best sitcom to debut on the networks. I would put this above Papa's House, which is really struggling. Like, I want to love the Wayanses, and the casting of father and son together is like it should theoretically work. I don't know why it's not. I don't know why that show feels so unfunny at times. It's not always unfunny, but it's struggling. It's not nearly as bad as some of the others. Georgie and Mandy's thing is not a good show. It's just for people who can't accept the fact that Young Sheldon was canceled. They've completely changed the format. The actor playing Georgie is having a really hard time adapting to a multicam format. Um, and the show just doesn't work. And they're trying to bring over people from Young Sheldon to keep the thing alive, but we've seen this before. How long is this really going to last? And I would point to Joey. You know what I'm saying? Like, Joey had a big enough profile and a big enough name that NBC ran that for 2 seasons and really tried to make that work and ultimately gave up on it. And even the Frasier revival, it just was canceled at Paramount Plus, ran for 2 seasons, even though by all accounts, it was never going to be what it was. Like, everybody watching that was just like, I don't know what happened here. And they tried to bring in Roz in the second season to try to help bring that back. So they're going to try to help Georgie and Mandy limp along because its ratings are high. I think it's technically the most watched. Of course it is. It's in the same time slot. It's a spinoff of the show before, and it has a lot of recurring people from the original show. So it feels like Young Sheldon to people who miss Young Sheldon. But I think it's going to wear on people after a while. The magic of that of Young Sheldon being lost on those characters. Happy's Place is not a good show on any level. Reba's great. She needs to be in another show though. Um, and the writers on that show are terrible. The pilot was awful, and it is a product of a lack of a pilot season because they didn't even make people reshoot the pilot. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't up against anything, so it had no. They were just like, yeah, man, we'll make a show with Reba. But when there are no stakes, that's what you get nowadays. You just get that. St. Denis Medical is something that just magically happened out of thin air. Yes, it's following a formula set forth by Parks and Rec and Abbott Elementary and The Office and stuff like that before, but it works here. And it's probably the best show that's debuted on network television as a sitcom this season. So, shifting gears is not a great show. It has a good audio description, but in it's gonna, I didn't like Last Man Standing right away, so I'm trying to reserve judgment because with time, Tim Allen can make something work, and we'll see what happens with Shifting Gears. But right now, it's rocky. It's not the worst, but it's also not the best. So yeah, I actually think Going Dutch has something. There's some magic. Denis Leary's cast perfectly here. Danny Pudi is a great sidekick for him. And the people who I don't know, who are sort of like the lesser known people filling out the military base, remind me of sort of that gang of misfits that Phil Silvers had as Sergeant Bilko on his show. So um, I like it. I can't recommend it because it doesn't have audio description on Hulu, but which is a shame because I'm struggling with the do I continue to watch a show that doesn't have audio description thing because I like Denis Leary. He just did the Netflix series with Ray Romano and Lisa Kudrow, No Good Deed. And he's back here with his own sitcom, and I'm a fan of, ever since Rescue. I think Rescue Me was really sold me on Denis Leary. I mean, he'd been around before that, obviously, but Rescue Me was really when I was like, oh my God, as an actor, the potential of Denis Leary. So, yeah, watch it, don't watch it, whatever. Do your own thing. Um, but I can't. There are visual aspects to the show, and I just can't give it the seal of approval by grading it. So it's unwatchable due to lack of audio description. Um, but objectively, I can tell that this is better than other shows that dropped this season that all have audio description, and I wish this one did. But c'est la vie, right? So I don't know how long I'll watch Going Dutch for, but at least I don't know. It could be something I keep watching. I still watch The Great North because of its voice cast. Um, that's the choice. That's a personal choice that I make. Basically, I'd follow Nick Offerman just about anywhere. just I. So audio description, no audio description. If I can somehow follow him and figure out what the fuck he's doing, I think Nick Offerman's brilliant. So that's why I'm watching The Great North, in case everybody's like, why do you watch The Great North? And it's the same thing. Like I watch Crapopolis. Why are you watching Crapopolis? Matt Berry. That's why. So here it's like Denis Leary and Danny Pudi are two actors I like a lot, and they're doing good work, and I have a really hard time giving up on it. We'll see. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the other side.